Deadliest Catch exclusive. The worst is yet to come in nail-biting Season 17. Final Deadliest Catch final is here, and an upfront warning. It's not an easy watch. It has been a rough 2021 for the entire fleet, and this finale airs Tuesday night and is currently streaming on Discovery+. 10 weeks into the season, half of the canneries suspended operations thanks to COVID, leaving 2 remaining. In TV shows as exclusive clip, Summer Bay Captain Wild Bill Wachowski details the lows and the stresses of this troubling season where people were injured and the fleet was constantly at threat for COVID, but what viewers are in store for is a nightmarish scenario. Wild Bill is suddenly slammed by high surf, and his beloved Summer Bay is breached in especially rough seas. And to make things worse, an Arctic ice pack moves in on the fleet, rendering everything unfishable. The $250 million quota is at stake, and the race is on before this ice freezes them out. In the coming episode, Captain Keith and Brother Monty Colburn are eyeing the ice pack, and seeing the danger is real. The thick ice can take out their hull and sink them. Despite the dangers, they manage to lose a pot to the ice, snapping the line. Yet they have a decent crab haul. On the F/V Cornelia Marie, Casey McManus and Josh Harris are close to the ice pack and likely wishing they were back in Hawaii searching the fishing fields mapped out by Josh's late father, Captain Phil Harris. But the two are in the thick of the Bering Sea, and together they devise a plan to avoid the ice and retrieve their pots. And about 28 miles south of Casey and Josh, we find the F/V Northwestern, as Captain Sig Hansen and Mandy are hit and missing the Opilio. Sig is trying to stay optimistic, but it's hard. The Hansens weigh 2 options, one eastward and one west. They worry that the ice is going to be an issue. And 48 miles south, Jake Anderson of the F/V Saga responds to Sig's call. But unfortunately, they are not catching anything, and Sig brokers a deal with a wary Jake to make their quotas and get out of the ice floes. Meanwhile, 44 miles northwest on the F/V Time Bandit, Jonathan Hillstrand counts on one more set before the ice pack ends his fishing. The ice is like a big bully, he says, describing the situation. The ice floes start to grow to the size of a large SUV, which is a lethal block of water to hit any of their boats. Finally, the Summer Bay finds itself racing to make quota, as he loses $4,000 in equipment and crab in one snap line. What next? Wild Bill asks. That question is answered when you tune into the final. Deadliest Catch airs Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Discovery, or stream it now on Discovery Plus. Deadliest Catch exclusive. The worst is yet to come in nail-biting Season 17. Finales, the icy waters of the Bering Sea continue to challenge the brave men and women aboard the crab fishing vessels. Deadliest Catch fans are bracing for a season final that promises to be more intense and unpredictable than ever before. In its 17th season, the show has delivered one of its most perilous years to date, with unforeseen obstacles, heart-stopping moments, and shifting dynamics that have kept audiences on the edge of their seats. But according to the latest updates from the fleet, the worst is still yet to come as the season final looms large. The calm before the storm, as fans know. The Bering Sea is one of the most unforgiving environments on the planet. Crushed by near-freezing temperatures, ferocious waves, and unpredictable weather, the crabbers face a unique kind of adversity that often leaves them battling not just the elements, but also their own fears and doubts. This season, however, has taken that harsh reality to an even more extreme level, with tensions building steadily since the start of the year. While previous seasons of Deadliest Catch have seen their fair share of obstacles, from dangerous icebergs to mechanical failures, Season 17 has introduced new and unexpected hurdles. Early in the season, The fleet was plagued by equipment malfunctions, with boats like the Time Bandit and the Northwestern spending days on end, struggling to get their gear back in working order. As those setbacks began to add up, some of the more experienced captains, like Sig Hansen of the Northwestern, found themselves questioning their decisions and leadership. "It's not like anything we faced before," Hansen remarked during one of the episodes. "The sea's always unpredictable, but when you've got equipment failing, bad weather coming in, and everything just stacking up against you, it's hard to keep your head above water, let alone catch crabs." But while the mechanical failures and rough seas certainly tested the fleet's mettle, it was the surprise arrival of the Saga under Captain Jake Anderson that turned the tide in a new direction. Anderson, who had long been known for his quiet resilience, suddenly found himself under intense pressure when his crew made an unexpected including his longtime deckhand, Johnny, faced a difficult decision when a series of equipment failures left them stranded with nowhere to turn. A season of loss and gritty 17th season of Deadliest Catch hasn't been without its emotional tolls. There have been more than a few sobering moments, including the heartbreaking news that one of the show's beloved deckhands, Nick McGlashan, had tragically passed away just before filming began. McGlashan, who had worked on the Summer Bay and later joined the Time Bandit, was known for his contagious energy and dedication to the crew. His death cast a somber shadow over the season, as his memory was honored by fellow fishermen, and many of his friends on the boats struggled to cope with the loss while continuing to work in such perilous conditions. The loss of Nick added another layer of weight to what was already a tense and dangerous season. Crew members spoke candidly about how they struggled to keep their spirits high, especially in the face of both the physical and emotional exhaustion that came with the work. For many, the season became not just about catching crabs, but about proving to themselves and each other that they could rise above the hardships in honor of their fallen friend. But even in the darkest moments, the crew's resilience and the tight-knit bond between them offered a glimmer of hope. As Sig Hansen observed during an emotional interview, "Fishing is hard. Losing a man like Nick makes it even harder. But we do this together. That's the only way we survive." High stakes and even higher tensions as the season enters its final leg, the stakes could not be higher. With the fleet spread thin, the captains and crews find themselves racing against time to make up for the lost days spent battling malfunctioning equipment and extreme weather conditions. The clock is ticking, and the pressure is mounting. One of the most intense moments of the season so far has been aboard the Cornelia Marie, where Captain Josh Harris and his first mate, Casey McManus, have found themselves locked in a fierce rivalry with other boats, particularly the Time Bandit and Northwestern. With the Cornelia Marie's gear struggling to hold up and tensions between the crews rising, the situation is on a nice edge. "It's every boat for itself now," Josh Harris says in a preview clip for the final. "If we don't make a move now, we're going to miss our chance to make a real catch, and that means weeks of nothing for us. I've got to push my crew harder than ever before, but at what cost?" Josh's frustration is palpable as the season draws to a close. The captain, who has always been willing to take risks, is now confronted with the very real possibility that his aggressive tactics could push his crew too far. A misstep could be catastrophic for the Cornelia Marie, which has already been pushing the limits of its equipment. On the Northwestern, meanwhile, Sig Hansen's calm exterior is starting to crack. Although he's been a pillar of leadership throughout the season, even the seasoned veteran is finding himself stretched thin. His crew, though experienced and loyal, is beginning to feel the strain of constant work in dangerous conditions. Tensions between Sig and his deckhands are beginning to simmer, and if things don't improve, the Northwestern might find itself in a race to the bottom rather than the top of the leaderboard. The threat of danger looms larger than ever. What sets Deadliest Catch apart from other reality shows is the sheer unpredictability of the risks involved. It's not just the mechanical failures or the emotional struggles that make it dangerous. It's the ever-present threat of death or injury. Even the smallest mistake can lead to catastrophic consequences, and the final promises to bring even more danger than fans have come to expect. With winter approaching, the icy waters of the Bering Sea are becoming more treacherous. In the funnel, several boats face the real possibility of becoming icebound, caught in a frozen trap where they could be forced to abandon their efforts and head back to port empty-handed. Sig Hansen is already preparing for the worst, knowing that time is running out for his crew to haul in enough crab to justify their expenses and efforts. This is the most dangerous time of the year, Sig says in a teaser for the final. You don't get a second chance. If you don't make it happen now, you're done for the season. As the storm clouds gather and the Bering Sea's violent winds pick up, the Deadliest Catch fleet faces its most perilous and nail-biting conclusion yet. The question on everyone's mind is whether the captains and crews will be able to weather the final storm, or if their seasons will end in disaster. From the looks of it, the crew members will be tested like never before, and the worst may very well be yet to come. The final moment says, the season final nears. The air is thick with anticipation. Every second counts. For some, this could be